Welcome in to Check the Mic. Steve Palazzolo Sam Monson. We're live on YouTube today, breaking down the very best rosters in the NFL and the worst rosters as well. Best and worst rosters.
Negative. Skewing negative.
The NFL. We've also got another pitching update from last night. We'll get to that at the end. We'll get to that at the end.
And we got other sports left, right, and center. We got the World Cup starting today. The
World Cup.
NBA Finals. I watched my third game of the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were telling me about it. I was pitching. So my game was at 8:30 last night, Eastern. So I got in late. You were like, 29-point comeback.
Yeah.
Not to spoil it for anyone. So I tuned in just in time to see the tip in.
They butchered
which was pretty epic.
Man,
Wow.
Spurs made a balls of that.
I'm just rooting for, I don't really care. I'm happy for Harrison, though.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't really have a dog in the fight, so I was like 2-2 is better than 3-1.
I'm rooting for Game 7,
right.
though.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm rooting for the entertainment.
So I was like, evening it up is
drama.
better than somebody running away with it, so let's go for the Spurs.
So yeah, a lot happened. Stanley Cup Finals. A lot happening in the sports world. But all I really care about is the NFL and college football.
And your own pitching.
And my own pitching.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was reminded last night why I haven't pitched in 15 years, both good and bad.
Oh.
Good and bad. So we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
So we're breaking down the best rosters in the NFL. We do this every year. It's always fun. We always get full agreement from everybody.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah. This is the correct list.
There's no complaints either way. So we both put in blind lists and apparently picked all the same 5 teams.
We did, huh?
I might pivot.
You should pivot since your own data says you're wrong.
I'm going to pivot.
Have the conviction, the courage of your own data convictions. What does the model say?
It's Team 5. I went model exclusive here.
Model exclusive.
And I will.
So I'm
telling Will.
So that means that I've picked the model teams other than the one that you didn't have the faith in?
Yeah, because the difference in 5 is like marginal.
Okay.
And it's like a first run on the data. I haven't massaged it yet, checked it. But, we'll roll with it.
Okay.
See what the data says. All right, the best rosters in the NFL, because we have mostly the same teams.
Yes.
Including the same top team. We're just going to get right into the best roster in the NFL. Who did you have at number 1, Sam?
I've had, I think, what would be the same one everybody has, which is I think the Rams are fairly clearly the best roster in the NFL right now. You know, they were one of the best already, and then they conclusively addressed their biggest weakness over the offseason, trading for Trent McDuffie. I mean, that on its own would have gone a pretty long way to addressing their biggest weakness. Then they bring in another starting cornerback in Jalen Watson, and then just the cherry on top of everything. It's like, well, what if we upgraded from Jared Verse to Myles Garrett? You know?
They were already, I think they were already.
That's not even counting, by the way, this seemingly reasonable chance that Myles Garrett or that Aaron Donald straight unretires and joins this team. Now, look, he's 35. It's been a while since we've seen him on the NFL football field. I don't know what Aaron Donald is right now. I still think it's probably an upgrade to the roster, whatever he is.
Oh, yeah. I absolutely agree that it is. I'm not defensive tackle. I have that as a strength. So I model-wise, we're looking at one of the strongest teams that I've seen in my numbers. And then the teams in the preseason numbers for me, they're not the most obvious ones, but some of them might be. Because it's like a lot of teams coming off of strong seasons and everything. But I think the Rams offseason, well, I'll get to the numbers in a sec. The Rams offseason they don't really have many weaknesses. They flip a pick for Trent McDuffie, sign him. They sign Jalen Watson. Boom, there's your 2 starting corners. Now you're locked in with all, you have your starters locked in to the point where they had the ability to draft a Ty Simpson, to think to the future. Their roster, I'll say this, if they add Mekhi Lemon to the group, the guy that they consider, Mekhi Lemon and Kenyon Sadiq are the 2 guys that they considered, that could have jacked it up even further.
Yeah.
But they were able to take the long-term play and then go ahead and add Myles Garrett to the mix. So they're loaded on the defensive line. They're loaded at corner.
Now.
The starting 5 offensive linemen are all coming back. Now there's an issue with left tackle getting into maybe some legal trouble. But on paper, they've got the starting offensive line coming back. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. I mean, it doesn't mean they're definitely going to win. I mean, your paper, being a paper champion doesn't mean anything necessarily. But they're doing the best you possibly can at this time of the year.
It's literally the best starting point you can have, right? Let's go into the season with the best football team.
So, do you want to hear my top teams?
Yeah,
Back
sure.
to 2013.
So why are we even doing this? When I come up with my dumbass list, what does the data say?
The data has the best teams heading into the season.
I'm quite encouraged though that I chose the same teams -1
Yeah.
as the numbers.
You did. Right. Thank you, Neil. So the 2013 San Francisco 49ers were the best preseason team for me
Okay,
because coming off of 2012,
as in going into the preseason.
going into 2013. So they're coming off their 2012 Super Bowl season. Kaepernick had just taken over at quarterback. I think they may have rolled back with all of their starters. Remember, they rarely rotated
Yeah,
on the defensive side of the ball.
that defense was a beast.
They went 12 players deep on defense. Just had like one nose tackle for nickel, and that was it. So they were the best going into the season. The 2014 and 2015 Broncos, both up there. So the 2013 Broncos, they go and lose in the Super Bowl. Coming into 14, they were one of the strongest teams. They don't go to the Super Bowl that year, losing the divisional round. And then in 15, they go and win the Super Bowl with old man Peyton, who's still probably showing well in the numbers.
Right.
Then you have the 2021 Bucks, they win the Super Bowl in 2020, so going into 21, they're one of the strongest teams. Mm-hmm. The 2019 Saints, they're coming off the 2018 pass interference. They probably should have been in the Super Bowl. The Rams go instead. So the Saints, they ran it back in 2019, and then it's the 2026 Rams. So I'm not saying so the point is, like, one of those 5 teams that I mentioned won a Super Bowl.
Right.
It's not like it's locked in, but all of those teams,
All of them were good.
12, 12, 12, 13, 13 wins that season. Mm-hmm. Of my top 10 teams going into the season, the only team who went under 10 wins was the Eagles of 2019. The 2019 Eagles, that was when I think Wentz started his decline. Just, things started to fall apart with that Eagles team. I think that was the year they had the crazy wide receiver injuries, the Travis Fulgham year and everything.
Right.
So my point is, my preseason team scores, when you're above certain thresholds, you're either in championship, on the green to be able to win a championship, or at least win, 12 games like all of these teams did. So 9 out of the 10 won at least 12 games. And that's where the Rams are. They're in a different tier compared to the other teams in the league right now.
Right.
Now, you got to go execute, you got to stay healthy. There's a lot to it.
Yep.
But right now on paper, the Rams are the clear best team.
Agreed. So who else does the data? Who's 2, 3, 5?
We're going to go through your list, and then I was going to
through 5, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Do you want to go through my list and then
Yeah, I want to hear what the
respond?
data says.
So now we're pivoting.
Right.
All right.
Because apparently it's the same, other than the last team, right?
Correct.
Right.
It's not the same order, but it's the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Same
Well,
teams.
whatever. Same teams.
So Rams are the best team in the NFL.
Yep.
Number 2, Seattle Seahawks.
Okay.
So I got the Seahawks. Now they're in a lesser tier.
Right.
But you've got Darnold coming back. They're actually projected strongly at quarterback. If we're having honest conversations about Darnold,
So give me 2, 3, 4.
I just want to list them all.
Well, give me 2, 3, 4. We'll talk about your order.
Okay.
I have the same teams. We'll talk about my order, and then the 5th team that's different from me and the data.
Rams number 1.
Yep.
Seahawks number 2.
Yep. I had them 4.
Eagles are 3.
Okay. I have them 5.
Number 4 is the Houston Texans.
I had them 2.
And number 5.
So this is the difference. Okay.
Number 5, the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals are number 5.
Now
for
that
me,
will
in
be
a very slight edge over the Denver Broncos.
who are my 3.
Very slight edge over the Broncos.
That-
And I'll be honest, if I was just putting the list together without look, I would say, Broncos. I put
Yeah,
the
you
Broncos.
did. Yeah, that's the thing. Right?
I did.
You
I
didn't
cheated.
have the convictions of your own data.
But I've
and
decided.
you failed, and now
Bengals 5.
Now you're pivoting back.
The Bengals are 5.
That's the one that would shock people, though. The Bengals. Like the other, I think it's a. I mean, it wouldn't be a consensus, but I think it would be a reasonably popular. If you crowdsource this, I think the 5 would look pretty similar. The Bengals would be the team that people would not see coming.
I'll tell you what's interesting.
But
is
think of all the improvements they have made. I mean,
Well-
it was already a good roster on one side of the ball. It's just the other side was garbage.
they have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL too, and that's going to hold.
Which, by the way, at some
lot of the
point
weight.
we need to talk about his contract, the news,
Joe
which would
Burrow?
be
that they moved money around.
they. So it's like on the one hand, right? The Bengals restructured Joe Burrow's contract, right? It's June I mean, this is happening left, right, and center with people all over the place, right? It's like it's literally it barely registers as news for any other team in the NFL. But this is literally the first time the Bengals have ever restructured a contract. Never done it before. Now they've made people take pay cuts before, so they've done that,
restructured
right?
the other way.
But it's the first time they have ever restructured a contract where a player has not been taking the pay cut. They've just moved money around, right? Joe Mixon, Geno Stone, Cordell Volson, these guys all had their salaries cut. So from that, restructuring. But that's not what they've done to Burrow. They're just taking the usual way that other teams restructure contracts. They're taking his salary, they're putting it into prorated bonus to lower the salary cap hit, to spread it out over future years. They have literally never done that before. So in this world of like the Bengals have been, they are treated as this like cheap/annoying franchise to deal with, right? And in a sequence of ways, this team is modernizing, shall we say, under Joe Burrow, like with Joe Burrow as the quarterback. People keep projecting, in a couple of years' time, Joe Burrow can demand a trade to the Los Angeles Rams, and he can be the starter when Matthew Stafford retires. And it's like, on the one hand, it makes sense because you've got the history of Carson Palmer and all these other Bengals quarterbacks where they eventually just get sick of this crap and, want out. On the other hand, this stuff has literally never happened before. Like, they've never done this, and it's, I think, worth pointing out.
Burrow's changed everything.
He really has.
They have a indoor practice facility.
Not a bubble, even though it's a bubble.
Indoor practice facility. They have a beautiful new locker room.
That's why PJ doesn't credential us or anything. Call it a bubble.
No, that's not. I would never call it a bubble in public. It's just a big...
It's a big bubble-like structure.
Inflated.
It's not a bubble.
Practice facility that we drive by on the highway. Bubble. Practice facility.
They're renovating the stadium.
Beautiful new locker room. Yeah. Renovating the stadium and all of that and restructuring a contract.
They brought back both wide receivers at high money that nobody thought they were going to do. Like in a variety of different ways, they are spending money in a way that this team has never spent money before. And I mean that literally, not like hyperbole. Literally in a way they have never done before, i.e., this is genuinely unprecedented. Every other team restructures every player they have every 5 minutes. The Bengals have never done it before. And it's a weird spot where, like, genuinely this it wouldn't be news for another team. It would just be, this is something they did. Yeah. And then for the Bengals, it's like, they've never done it before.
And the restructuring of a contract, I think I always joke that, like, back in the day, it was almost positioned as like, oh man, good on the quarterback, just doing what's best for the team. It's like literally just an accounting thing to free up cap space.
Cap space, right?
It's not changing Joe Burrow's payout or anything like that. It's not like, oh, Joe's doing a solid for the Bengals and allowing them to sign other players. That's not what this is.
No, I mean it's a simple like.
And we hear this all the time, like like this happens all the time.
Yes.
But every now and again, I think fans tend to think like, oh, this is...
It's a simple exchange.
Yes.
Like, yes, the team gets cap relief, cap space, because the quarterback restructured his contract. On the other hand, the quarterback gets bonus money immediately. Like, it's, there's a give and take here. Like,
so
both sides make out.
Let me respond to the accusations that this is clickbait, rage bait, whatever you want. The what?
Accusations. Oh, the people are saying...
The chat's upset.
Your fingers are on the scale.
Yeah. So two things here. Normally, if I'm not like I'm looking at the data, these are numbers that project a team going forward, right? It's not literally this is like who do I feel like what do the numbers say strongest teams going into next year? It's directionally good. It's not like
before you give the justification from your own data. Can I just say, as someone that did not have them in the top 5 and is not privy to the model, it's not crazy. I mean, as you said, you start off with Joe Burrow, right, who theoretically is a top-tier quarterback. He already has around him a very good offense. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, that offensive line is okay. It's solid. It's not bad. The tight end group is okay, given what Joe Burrow is throwing, given that Joe Burrow is the quarterback. So the offense was already good. The defense was a catastrophe, and that has added to it Dexter Lawrence, who's a potential top-tier player if he gets back and plays at his level. Boye Mafe was added to that group. The draft class that they had, DJ Turner, Dax Hill were already pretty good at cornerback, only nobody noticed because the rest of it was so bad. And then the only glaring weakness still on it is linebacker. And that group, they were all really young last year. Maybe they're better just by having Dexter Lawrence in front of them. So, I mean, I could see it. Like, it's not, they're nowhere near the Rams, but when you're saying no, like the Rams are in a tier by themselves, and then there's another group. I didn't have them in there, but I don't think it's nuts to have them in that group, or at least pretty close to it.
And so here's the deal. If I was breaking this down, I would tend to do it, and I'd look across all position groups, and I'd look for the teams that maybe didn't have weaknesses in those position groups. And I probably, if I was ranking rosters, I try to like value the quarterback but not overvalue it. The model's going to overvalue the quarterback because it's weighted appropriately, that the quarterback matters a lot. So the Bengals are number 5 on my list. They're not the best. They're not the 5th best all-around roster. So I have them number 2 on offense and number 20 on defense. So the offense weighs, it matters more in the NFL. It's certainly top-heavy with Burrow at quarterback and the receivers that you mentioned. The offensive line is okay, but they're all returning as starters. And like I said, the defense is 20th, but that's up from where they were.
So now,
like when we get into the season, you could easily paint a picture, and I could look really smart because they have one of the top 3 easiest schedules, right? They're in that easy schedule, but I could look really smart because of that. But they are, in reality, based off what we've seen over the last couple of years, I've got them as the number 2 offense. I don't think anybody would argue with that they're a top 4 offense or whatever.
That's the key, right? If you take the defense from literally about as bad as it gets to average, even below average, then they're a top 5 roster. It's like when you have an offensive line, when we give the best offensive lines in the NFL, if you have one weak link, you probably have a top 5 offensive line. Like, you don't need 5 All-Pros to have a top offensive line. If one guy is bad, you're probably a top 5 offensive line in the NFL. The defense doesn't need, because Cincinnati is dealing with an elite offense on one side of the ball, if the defense just doesn't suck, this is a decent roster.
I have them as a mid-tier offensive line.
Yeah. Which I think is
maybe
where they belong.
18th, 20th. I got them in that range. The offense number 2 overall. The defense up to what I have 20th. Yeah, number 20 defense. That's with Lawrence and Mafe coming in.
Right.
That's with my model's going to have no faith in Shamar Stewart. Right. We're not going to overrate him. We're going to have a ton of faith in DJ Turner. Like, there is talent there. Mm-hmm. The linebackers are ranked as the worst in the NFL. Not surprising. So I get the push. Like the pushback's fair. Like, if we're saying this is the best roster show, and I'm saying they've got the worst linebacking group, they do have questions still as far as pass rushers go. They got questions at safety. They have questions in certain spots, but the quarterback and receivers matter more in the NFL, and they're pulling the weight. So if we're weighting it like that, the Bengals are up there. If I was thinking who literally position by position, they might be 16th.
So let me ask you a question. The team that I had in and your numbers did not, Denver, how much is that just the difference between Bo Nix and Joe Burrow?
Oh, that's absolutely it, because they're like 0.2.
Like, if you replace them both with average, right? If you replace them both with generic average quarterback,
Broncos are a better roster.
Way better, right?
Yeah. Pretty significantly. They're better at. I mean, I'll look at position groups. So it depends on how we want to weigh this thing.
Right.
I get the Broncos with a better O-line, D-line, running back room, definitely not receiver. Better on both, offensive line, both tackle and on the interior. Better on the edge. Better at defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Better at corner. Better at safety. Better at linebacker. They're better at most position groups. All I'm saying is Burrow, Higgins, and Chase are enough to put a team that high.
That's why.
So it depends on what the rules of engagement are when we're talking ranking rosters. Yes, the Broncos have a better roster, which is why I put them down in my initial list. I'm just telling you what the data says about the Bengals right now.
That's why it's an interesting discussion because, look, the Rams are easy because they have an elite roster and an elite quarterback, and therefore they're the best team in the NFL. There are other situations, though, like these, where you're like, look, Denver's roster 2 through 53 is significantly better than Cincinnati's, but Cincinnati's number 1, or maybe not even 3 through 53. Cincinnati's 1 and 2 are way better, right? And that matters because they're the 2 most important positions on the field. So you have to weigh that, or you should, I think, weigh that to some degree more. But you could equally make the argument that if we're talking rosters, 3 through
Right,
53
it's not
is important, right?
Which is why I put Denver higher, and there'd be other teams. I'd say the
Well, more to
Ravens,
the point,
the
which is
Lions.
why-
The next couple teams on my list would have better all-around rosters.
Yeah.
But in the NFL, a quarterback and two high-end elite receiver and high-end receiver and T. Higgins can pull you a long way.
More to the point, though, even if you stick with your data, it's like that's why you have Cincinnati in the top 5 and I don't. It's like it's just a slightly different weighting of two positions, effectively.
So anyway,
Neither one of them is inherently wrong. It's just how you want to weigh that up in this arbitrary world of rating a roster.
And so
I think it's interesting. But given that, right, given the fact that if we just how much you weight the quarterback completely swings this, that's why I think it's kind of interesting that me ballparking it ended up with 4 out of the 5 that the data says are the same.
Yeah, and I'm looking at, the last couple of years' performance for NFL players. There's some draft projection in there based off all my numbers. And when it comes, everything I said, when you use data, and I dealt with this the other day talking to a GM, and I was with the GM and his analytics person, and showing my stuff, showing the model and various models. And I'm like, here's how good it is. Look how good it is. Look how good this is. Like, historically, it's good. And if you're above this threshold, you're a championship caliber team. Look, use my stuff. It's really, really good. And you can, turn the knobs and use it. This is my pitch. And inevitably, the first question I get is, show me some misses.
Yeah.
Show me the outliers.
Right.
Or show me the list. And what I try to avoid showing the list, because when I read out
the
best teams, like any list, like here's my top draft scores, or here's the top team scores. Like I read out the list to you of the top team scores.
Yeah.
And there's if somebody's listening and they're like, wait, the 2013 Niners, the 2014 Broncos who didn't even make the conference championship,
right,
the 2019 Saints, the 2021 Bucks, like none of these teams won Super Bowls. This is trash, right? This is what people do. But my reminder is like you always have to come back to what is the expectation, what is the base rate. And so you have to package it as no data is like 100% correlated, right? It's not one for one. But relative to other data sources or other things that you're doing, like I said, the list that I said, those 9 out of 10 teams were 12-plus wins. Like that's a good chunk of teams. That's controlling a good chunk of what they can control. And then there's a bounce of a football. There's a 2-point conversion on Thursday Night Football that's picked up in the end. Like there's football happens.
Also, yeah,
right. But we have to understand
an important part of it.
Base rates and everything. But inevitably, somebody's like, well, tell me an outlier. I'm like, I can tell you something's 99% correct. Well, tell me the one. I need to know the one. And the one doesn't really matter. The point is you're just trying to give yourself better odds in everything that you're doing. So this is just like an odds play, basically.
I mean, look, somebody in the chat, when we were saying, look at all the things that the Bengals have added to defense, right? And somebody in the chat was like, none of them have played yet. It's like, I mean, you have to make an assumption about what they're going to be, right? And it would be even more crazy to assume that because we haven't seen any of these upgrades play yet, they will be the same as last year's Bengals, right? That would be way dumber than assuming they will be to some degree better. We just don't know how much, right? Yeah. So it's all best guess in terms of trying to figure out, like, the projection for this defense. Of course it's a projection. We're dealing with a totally new nose tackle, a totally new 3-tech, a totally new defensive end, like a new safety. We're dealing with new players all over the place. So, like, of course it's a projection. We have no idea, really, how this group's going to play. But we at least have a directional idea because we've seen Dexter Lawrence play football in the NFL before. We've seen Boye Mafe play football in the NFL before. We've seen Brian Cook play football in the NFL before. We've seen the college performance of Cassius Howell, et cetera. Like, we're projecting those guys even more because it's college to the NFL. But, like, we're not working blind. We've got at least some idea of what these guys are bringing to the table so we can give a best guess projection of what this defense will look like as a unit going forward. I think it's fairly obvious to say that that is a better methodology than just saying, well, we haven't seen any of these upgrades play yet, so it's the same unit as a year ago until proven otherwise. Like, that to me is crazy, right?
That's not how you do it.
Like, both of them are wrong. Like, I will guarantee you that whatever I'm saying that defense will not be exactly to the yard, to the point, to the ranking where they will be this year. But I'll probably be closer than just assuming they're the same unit as last year, right?
Yeah.
So that's all we're saying here is you've got to project something.
Yeah, and look, I'll give you a quick history on the numbers just so you understand some perspective. I don't think, Like the numbers aren't perfectly correlated to, well,
that's a good question.
what?
The chat there, Jules Winfield. I wonder how the model, capitalized, he's given it due credit, the model, contemplates injury risk. Because that's what I was saying before. Like, no matter how good your roster is, if your best 5 players all break a hip, like you're not winning anything, right? So injury is a huge variable.
I haven't. It's pretty successful historically, and I haven't officially adjusted for that yet. There is a general volume component to it where if you play a lot of football,
your injury risk goes up.
No. If you play a lot of football, your production's higher, and like if you've stayed healthy and played more snaps,
okay.
Your production's higher, and therefore your projection's probably going to be higher.
Right.
It's like it's not direct. It's not like a variable, but it's kind of baked in there to a point.
Got it.
If you stay on the field, I haven't gone through and said specifically, well, Patrick Mahomes is coming off an ACL. Let's now adjust his production score for ACL recovery off of 9 months. In part because I just haven't gotten there yet, but also because I don't know if there's enough signal there, right? Unless you just straight up. I mean, there's probably a point where you just tag somebody as like, green, yellow, red or something to that. David Chow I think does something.
Yeah.
He's got an actual score.
Right.
I do wonder if I combined with like his scores, if that would be a fair adjustment. I just wanted to give a quick history because like you guys can listen to this or not, I don't care, but it's our show. Like the Seahawks weren't that high for me last year. The Patriots weren't that high for me last year, and they just both went to the Super Bowl. But they were 2 of the biggest outliers I've ever seen. But that's the most recent example of what we've had. The top teams last year going in. Do you want to hear them?
Yeah.
Okay. Eagles, and then they just fell apart. They had 11 wins. Eagles, Ravens, Lions were top 3. Ravens dealt with Lamar's injury.
Right.
The Lions fell apart, had some coaching changes, but they still had 9 wins. Then it was the Texans, Broncos, Steelers. Steelers, I had really high hopes for their defense. Now, if I was marketing here, I would say, well, 4 out of those 6 all won 10-plus games. So I think I've got a pretty good system to get you to the 10-plus games. But then it was the Bucs, Chiefs, Bills, Chargers. Again, Bills, Chargers, and then Rams. So now out of the top 11, 7 won 10-plus. 7 out of 11 won 10-plus games. And the teams that didn't, Chiefs lost those close games. Mahomes got hurt. Ravens lost Lamar for a period of time. Lions won 9, Bucs won 8. They had some disappointment. You could blame some coaching, whatever. But the point is, it's supposed to be like relative strength going into the season, and it'll like get you on the green, get you the 10 wins. Yeah. The 2024 season, really quick. Lions and Eagles 1 and 2. Remember, it was supposed to be those 2 teams. That was like the inevitable NFC championship. The Eagles won the championship. They won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
The Niners, but they only won 6 games. They were the 3rd best team. They were coming off their Super Bowl, but they had their
Detroit should have been
injuries and kicking issues. Dolphins were high that year. They disappointed. And then it was Ravens, Chiefs who went to the Super Bowl, and Bills who went to the AFC Championship. So again, it's not like these teams will definitely win 14, 13, 12, 12, 12. But 75% of them are going to win 10 to 12, 13 games. There'll be a couple outliers in there. That's what I'm bringing to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good times. This is fun. Man, it should have been. I'll say this about the Bengals for this year. My number 5 team.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. They're 5. The Lions are 8 on my list, and they both have the easy schedule. I think there's something there.
Yeah.
With those teams. So going back to what we're talking about with the list, I have the Bengals 5.
By the way, also, like everyone's talking about, I mean, Dano's out here saying they're the Super Bowl team. Like this is not a controversial take
it's not crazy
to say that the Bengals are going to be good this year.
If I was doing this and saying which team has the fewest weaknesses, and we've done this before, just fewest weaknesses. You go position group by position group,
right.
Or like when we were talking about Denver going into the draft, there's no just glaring need that you have to fill this hole. Like the Bengals had glaring needs coming into the offseason, and you could argue they still do, that we don't trust their linebackers. We don't necessarily trust their safeties, even with Brian Cook coming in. So it's not that they're without weakness. It's that their quarterback, 2 receivers, returning offensive line carry so much weight. Mm-hmm. And then you add Dexter and Mafe and some talent on the defensive side. And if they just creep back toward average, you could see that happening this year.
Yep.
All right, so let's go back to those are my top 5: Rams, Seahawks, Eagles, Texans, Bengals, in a smidge over the Denver Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
Who was your so Seahawks are my number 2. Where'd you have them?
4.
Let's talk Seahawks.
Let's talk Seahawks.
They have. So what's interesting
The Super Bowl champion. So this is because a lot of your best teams ever were like a team coming off a
Super Bowl. Because they usually are strong.
Yeah, well, A, they're usually strong, and B, those teams kind of ran it back, right? Most of those teams stayed intact the following year and were therefore projected to be pretty good.
Yeah.
The Seahawks, interestingly, coming off this Super Bowl, had some losses. Like they lost some players.
They're mostly intact, though. I mean, they're really they're still really good on the defensive line. They're very good in the secondary. They lose the Super Bowl MVP running back, Kenneth Walker.
I mean, I haven't tracked this, but it feels like they lost more significant players coming out of a Super Bowl than most teams do.
Yes, but I think
like they've lost the starting
Walker,
defensive end,
Mafe.
the starting-ish cornerback, their starting running back, Super Bowl MVP. Like they've lost some pretty significant players.
They've hedged in interesting ways too. Like Walker's a very good running back. You get Jadarian Price
safety
in the first round.
Yeah.
Lose a safety. Did they have a new safety? Let me see. No, I mean Ty Okada, who's played pretty good football. Julian Love, and then Eamon Wari's a safety in name, but we know what he does.
Right.
The other one was, Josh Jobe stepped in, played some pretty good football last year, but a direct replacement for Reek Woolen. Woolen's an interesting guy because different body type. He does actually play pretty sticky man coverage, has some issues when he's been targeted over the last couple of years. Had the almost implosion, in the playoffs as well that may have, almost cost him. But they're good, man. They're another roster that's good across the board. They lose Mafe, but Dante Fowler comes in. I'm not saying that's exactly like for like.
Right.
But they've, in a couple spots, they've gotten, like 80 cents on the dollar type of replacements, which isn't bad, I think, for the Seahawks roster.
No, agreed. I mean, it's still a good roster. I'm just saying it feels like they've lost more players coming out of a Super Bowl than a lot of these teams that tend to try and run it back as much as humanly possible. They've actually had some losses, which is why, to me, I had them 4 as opposed to, 2 behind the Rams, for example.
We have Seahawks fans are all over us. They should just be riding the high of having a Super Bowl. They've been all over us this offseason.
Really?
Like we take digs at them. And then I said this earlier, like we just have to have an honest Sam Darnold conversation. Has he been a top 5 quarterback over the last 2 years? I mean, he's been.
I mean, over
very
2
good.
years,
I mean,
probably.
if we're big data people by not too big data, but like medium data people, right? We're medium data people, if you take all of the sample size over the last,
we should set up a medium data bowl.
Medium data, yes, we should. Excel only.
Yes.
You cannot use anything. Yes.
Excel
this is what
only.
we're doing.
Bonus points for pen and paper.
Where's Michael Lopez? We're going head to head with your Michael. This is for you. We're going head to head with your big data bowl.
If it can even be ingested by AI, it doesn't count.
No.
It's disqualified immediately.
There'll be no AI usage.
If you feed it into AI and it knows what to do with it, you're out.
You can use a calculator, but it's got to be below TI-83 level.
Right.
Right?
It's got to be the one that your phone.
Yes.
Anything beyond your phone doesn't.
Phone calculator in Excel.
Yeah.
Medium data bowl.
And pen and paper.
Maybe small data bowl. Might be small.
Nah, small data is it's beneath us. We're at least medium data people.
Where's Cynthia? You want to host that for us, Cynthia? No, she's with the big data bowl.
No.
We'll find who's a good medium data host.
Who's a real half-assed data person.
I'll tell you, some of the people that put data out there on the internet.
Oh, there's some half-assed data people out there. Yeah.
They'd be real good small data bowl hosts. Mm-hmm. Hey, look at this chart. Let me just project everything about this player's career based off this one scatter plot. Come on, people. Grow up. If you're a medium data bowl type of person, you could make an argument that Darnold's been a top 5 quarterback over the last couple of years. An outstanding season in Minnesota, an outstanding season in Seattle. And I felt like we've always prefaced it with outside of a few games, right? A couple games against the Rams with both teams, and a playoff game or the play-in game against the Lions in 2024. But Darnold's been very, very good, and that's something that Seattle can project pretty well. We've now seen Darnold across 2 different systems. It's going to be his third, play caller in 3 years. There's, maybe some uncertainty there, but he's played really well. So, they're established at quarterback. JSN emerging as, top 1 to 2 receivers in the NFL. The O-line all coming back. I think they overcame the right guard issue, but they were really good outside of Bradford at right guard. And then the depth on the D-line and then the backside. The defense is really good. And then the one thing my numbers are not accounting for is the coaching aspect. That's another one that's kind of fun after the fact to say, here's roster strength. Did they over or underachieve? Mike McDonald feels like he's going to be the coach that, regardless of what happens,
right,
roster-wise, they're going to overachieve. And if that's the case, Seattle's here to stay because McDonald is that good. Much like McVay's been that good, Vrabel, for all the issues, I think potentially could be that good. You find the coaches that are going to consistently overachieve with the roster strength that they're given.
And make that roster strength look better than it is.
Yes.
I mean, I think the Ravens last year are a good example of that, where the coach, Mike McDonald, left, right? The coach changed on defense, and suddenly the same personnel looked way worse than it was going into the season. Like, when the data says this group's really good, and then suddenly the coach that makes it all work disappears, and those players start playing way worse than previous. So, I think McDonald absolutely has the capacity to overall improve a roster.
Hear me out, Seahawks fans. Your team's awesome. Your coach is great. GM's outstanding. Love John. We try to get him on the show. What if we got John on the show? Would that be a good olive branch?
Olive branch. I don't. What have we said?
There's like a couple comments. Like I take some jab because I've said stuff like, I think the Rams had the best roster last year. I think the Rams are the best team. I've said stuff like that.
To be clear, I've disagreed with that from step one. Like all the way last season.
I offend people.
You were arguing all last year that the Rams were the best team in the NFL, and I think basically every step of the way, I'm like, I don't know. The Seahawks feel every bit as good as the Rams
until the end. Anyway,
now I agree. Now the Rams are a better roster because whilst they may have been a coin flip last year, subsequently to that,
added Myles Garrett, added
the Seahawks lost a bunch of players. The Seahawks lost a bunch of players, and the Rams added a bunch of superstars. So I think it's reasonable to say, even if they were a coin flip last year, even if I say the Seahawks were a 52-48 coin flip in their favor, it's not the case anymore.
It's a fun discussion. So I got the Rams 1, Seahawks 2. Discuss.
I had the Seahawks a bit lower than that, but
where'd you have them?
I had them 4, right?
Disrespect.
So I had them below.
Disrespect for the champs.
I had them below Houston and Denver, who are the team your data doesn't have in because your data
6.
apparently hates Bo Nix.
They're on the smidge. They're right on the cusp.
Yeah.
Better overall better non-QB roster than the Bengals.
That's the thing. So where are Denver? Can you do that quickly? If you strip out quarterback entirely, where are Denver in your thing? Because they feel like a team.
I don't have that added up. Let me see. I could get it.
Because, you could make an argument that that's the second best roster in the NFL if you don't care that Bo Nix is not Matthew Stafford yet. Is it, TBD, whether he ever will be. I'm not making an argument one way or the other. Just saying right now he isn't.
Give me a minute here.
All right. Because those two, to me, those are 2 and 3 in terms of the non-quarterback roster is Houston and Denver. Like if you strip out, and even Houston is now a question mark at quarterback because of that implosion from C.J. Stroud and the fact that his career is working in the wrong direction. At this point, you would say Sam Darnold is the most assured quarterback of those 3 teams: Houston, Denver, Seattle.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Non-QB roster.
Yes.
Rams. Eagles.
Ooh.
Seahawks.
Yeah.
Texans. Broncos.
Okay, so it's the 5 teams that I've got.
And the Bengals are 10th.
Yeah.
In non-QB roster. Now, if I took out receivers, the Bengals might be 20th. And that's why if you were arguing against why are the Bengals even close, go ahead and make the argument. Just say they're top-heavy. They're QB receiver-driven. But top-heavy in the NFL still works. What's interesting is, I run this for college. It doesn't work like that for college. QB and receiver don't have that type of impact. In fact, the defense has more of an impact. And by the way, I had Indiana 1 and Miami 2 last year. So the stuff works, by the way, especially in college.
What is the
colleges?
So what is Denver's roster getting dinged for in your data if they're not 2 or 3 in terms of non-quarterback roster? Because to me, that roster looks really good.
It's not that it gets dinged. It's just it's not.
But where are the Eagles, for example, significantly better than Denver's roster?
It's not like the Bengals are above them because quarterback is at the elite level and receivers are fourth overall, third or fourth. Denver, I don't think Denver is just like top 5 at anything in particular. So you want to see Denver versus
Philadelphia.
Versus
We're
Philly?
stripping out the quarterback thing.
So they're slightly lower in on the D line, slightly lower at quarterback, slightly lower at receiver, even with AJ Brown out, which is interesting.
Even with Brown out and Waddle in.
Well, I think where the Eagles are getting bumped up because I'm taking my draft scores into account is it loves Mekhi Lemon.
Right.
Like Mekhi Lemon might be the tipping point, to be honest. Mekhi Lemon and Eli Stowers. Now the Eagles, I believe, were 2 for me above the Seahawks overall pre-AJ Brown trade, which would make sense, right? They only got a 2028 draft pick. They lost.
Right, they got worse.
What the data is going to say is an elite receiver. Eagles have the slight edge over Denver at D tackle. Denver's got them at edge. No, they've got the D line edge. They've got the cornerback edge. No, it's even at corner. And Broncos have them at safety. It's close. It's really close between them.
Okay.
That's all.
Because to me, I mean, again, this Denver roster, if you move Bo Nix to the side for a moment, I think it's a top 5 roster. And to me, what did I have them 3? It's strong everywhere. I mean, we've been saying that for a couple of years now. Like, there aren't holes on this team. Tight end, if you were trying to find one, be like, that's a potential weak link. But even that's not terrible. That's kind of it. Like, we're trying to find. I mean, you were looking at your breakout candidates, and you're like, Jahdae Barron, just because we really loved him prior, is effectively coming into the NFL. Like, I don't see the path to the field
won't
for
even
him.
play.
Right. Like, he needs somebody to get hurt for him to even see the field.
I haven't run the data specifically for coaches yet. I did in college. I was part of a coaching search last year for college. But in the NFL, I do have some of those numbers. Like Peyton, since he's been with Denver, their team has significantly outperformed their projections.
Right.
And that's another piece to this. I'm not directly accounting for Peyton, but the fact that they're in this top 5 mix, plus Sean Payton there, I think that bodes well. The Philly roster, I think this might be the worst one they've had in a while. Now
it doesn't feel as good to me.
This is their lowest score since 2021. So that's the other part of this. And the one other piece that I haven't directly studied, it's not so much like what are they going into the season, but like if they've made big improvements or they've regressed a little bit. Philly was in championship roster territory for the last 4 years. 2022, when they went to the Super Bowl. 23, where they looked like they were 10-1, they were good, but they collapsed. 24, when they won it, they were in championship roster territory by my numbers. And in 25, they were again, but they had their similar, just issues. This is the worst roster by my numbers since 2021, but it's still top 3. But it's on the downswing, and I think an Eagles fan would say, yeah, we're not as strong as we were 2 years ago, 3 years ago. That's fair. They've gotten younger. They need some, pieces from the youth movement. I still think they're really good, man. You had Reek Woolen to that secondary. You have more uncertainty on the defensive line every single year, but they're still really good. The O-line's still pretty good, even though they didn't run block nearly as well last year. And then a lot of it's going to come down to the scheme change.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles have in the past, when we've done this, definitely been the top roster in the NFL heading into the season. I think it's a notable step down from that period. I mean, it's still good. It's still top 5 for both of us. But there's so many questions on the roster now relative to where they've been in the past. So I think it's definitely taken a step back, even though it's still good. Like, if you were looking at weaknesses or more question marks than outright weaknesses, but you would say safety is a question mark now. The defensive line is definitely not as strong as it used to be. They've got a lot of young players there, but those young players generally have not become the players that they were expected to be, like Nolan Smith in particular. Jalen Carter is still more potential and flash than true, every game substance. They're going to rely on somebody being that second corner. The combination of Reek Woolen or Keely Ringo is still a bit of a question relative to the past. And then now this receiver and this pivot in what the offense is going to look like. And by the way, the offensive line is kind of relatively weak relative to previous seasons. On paper, it still looks good, but I wonder if Landon Dickerson is ever going to be the player that he was previously, or if his career is kind of getting ruined effectively by injuries. I don't know how much longer he's going to be playing, or if he's basically got one more year left before he retires. That's how much injuries have hit him. If he doesn't bounce back and he's sort of a shadow of what he used to be, Cam Jurgens is just okay relative to Jason Kelce. Suddenly that offensive line is nowhere near as good as when it was clearly the best offensive line in the NFL. No A.J. Brown. We don't know who's going to be the number one receiver, if they're even going to have a number one receiver, if Jalen Hurts can operate an offense that forces him to target the middle of the field. Like, a lot more questions on this roster than have been in the past.
Yeah, I have their interior offensive line actually kind of low relative to what you'd expect from the Eagles over the last couple of years. So that's where they are, but still have them third overall roster-wise. Where did you have them?
Fifth.
I had the Texans fourth. We've talked a lot.
Yeah, so they're my number
about
2.
Houston. You have Houston too.
Yep.
And based off all of our offseason conversations, if I was doing this blind without looking at the data, I'd say Rams 1. I would probably be in a similar spot.
Right.
Because they're the team that I famously said before the draft. If we were playing a game right now, Texans have the best team before the draft. Said the same thing about the Rams in the NFC. So I'd probably stick with that because the draft isn't going to move the needle too much as far as what your preseason expectations are. Texans are loaded on the defensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. And we'll see. The offensive line is going to be the biggest question, but they've thrown a lot of pieces at it.
The offensive line is going to be a huge question, in part because we don't know what the 5 looks like yet. Like, they've thrown a ton of bodies at it. There's a lot of redundancy with the bodies that they've thrown at it, and you're sort of like, I still don't quite understand how this 5 comes together. But if it does, it's an important, because it's an important unit and maybe the biggest weakness on the roster overall. But B, if you want to make the argument that C.J. Stroud's career basically maps to the offensive line, you could do that, right? You could make the argument that C.J. Stroud only plays badly when the offensive line is in bits, and if this offensive line has been put back together and is now solid again, well, then C.J. Stroud, who is arguably the biggest problem on the roster right now because of the unknown of what he's going to be, if that goes away as a question, well, then they're great, right? Like, then they go back to being, genuine Super Bowl contender, roster without a weakness type of territory.
Yeah, so if you're a Texans fan and you're like, well, we've done this before. I had them as the 5th worst offensive line going into last season. They're still able to win 12 games, right? So, it's not like these things are insurmountable necessarily, but the questions on the offensive line, and then Stroud, to your point, what is he? I really think, I still think his best play was his rookie season. Maybe we're going to have Nate Tice on the show at some point, and one of the questions I have for Nate, who's been a big C.J. Stroud supporter, I feel like Nate has done a really good job of, even when things are going south from a production standpoint or perception standpoint, saying this quarterback's still playing well. Whether it's having Arch Manning number 1, whether it's Fernando Mendoza, he was early in on him at Cal before the Indiana production, skyrocketed. And he's been a Stroud believer for 3 straight years. And just want to hear his perspective on how are you able to evaluate the quarterback if, say, in 2024, the O-line and the pass protection really let them down, right, in 24. They were unblocked pressures, blitzes. Blitz pickup was awful. And in last year, and how he's going to, identify the collapse last year from Stroud and what he did. Because if he's a top 10-ish quarterback, we were at the point where we thought he's, battling for the top 5 spot, right? We've got the big 4, and then Herbert, Stroud, Jaden Daniels in 24. Like, who's competing for QB5, QB6, QB7? We thought Stroud was in that mix. I don't know that he is anymore. But if he's just top 10 and more consistent and, with his accuracy, with his decision making, this team is a Super Bowl contender because of how good that defense is.
But his and Stroud supporters would argue that you put a good offensive line in front of him, he goes back to being in that conversation. Like, and if that's true, then the Texans may have every bit as good a roster as anybody, maybe outside of the Rams.
And what's interesting here is I liked So we've talked about how good Nico Collins is at receiver.
Yep.
My model loved Jaden Higgins coming out.
And the depth there is crazy now.
Yes. So you have Higgins. Knoll is a deep threat. Xavier Hutchinson is a good, dependable 3/4. And then you have Tank Dell coming back, who legitimately could be the wild card. And we always look for patterns and trends. And if you want to find one, the wit without, I don't have the EPA or anything handy, but the wit without Tank Dell for CJ Stroud's career might be some signal there. Like when Tank Dell's been out there and healthy as a guy that was beyond, more than just a slot receiver. Like he was getting open down the field. They had good chemistry.
Like specifically not a slot receiver.
Right.
Like they really didn't use him in the slot much at all. I mean, he's been a genuinely fantastic receiver when he's been healthy. Now, obviously, that's a huge question mark now, not just because of multiple injuries, but because of how serious the most recent one was. And you're almost better off in this world of like, what are we projecting? Assuming Tank Dell doesn't exist for the purposes of these discussions, but like if he comes back, if he's anything like the player he was before. Like imagine what happens if you fold a healthy Tank Dell into this group and say, well, now Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll, they get bumped down the depth chart. Xavier Hutchinson is like wide receiver 6 or whatever. It's nuts.
So yeah, I think they have the receivers to do it. I think, clearly from a defensive perspective, the edge rushers are unbelievable. They added some depth with Logan Hall. I mean, love what they've done on the defensive side of the ball. Perhaps even got better than last year. Now, to replicate last year's performance, still challenging. I thought last year's defense was the best we've seen in a decade. Didn't materialize that they don't even make it to the AFC Championship with that, but that's how good they were. It's tough to be that good year after year, but
personnel-wise it is.
I mean, personnel-wise it is, and they're still a top 5 caliber defense.
I also, by the way, as much as I don't trust the offensive line, and it's still by far the biggest weakness, with all the body, even with the redundancy and the slightly unusual way they've attacked this, I feel like there's a good starting 5 in that group somewhere. Yeah. I don't know if they're going to find it, because if they decide the guy that I want to, I don't think their starting 5 is the starting 5 that I would come up with if I was trying to pull my offensive line from the collection of players that they have. But I do feel like there's a starting 5 in that line that could be good.
Year 2 of Arante Ursary. Braden Smith has had a really nice career,
right?
If he can bounce back and be healthy. And then amongst Keelan Rutledge as a rookie center, maybe Jake Andrews, Ed Ingram, and Wyatt Teller.
Yeah,
you got to find 3 starters out of those 4,
right?
And move those pieces around. I think that's all doable. And even if that happens, you have Trent Brown out there as well. I mean, you've got It's funny because if you were ranking the top 8 offensive linemen on a team, their O-line I think bumps up quite a bit.
Like they have way more.
I just don't know if the starting,
like they might have a below average starting 5, but the depth that's like top 5. Like their depth actually, they have a weird thing where most teams have a starting 5 offensive line, and to be honest, at least 1 or 2 of those starting 5 isn't that great, and then the second team is abysmal. Right? There might be no discernible difference between the second team and the first team for the Houston Texans offensive line, which is maybe unique in the NFL. Like their preseason. The way a lot of teams' offense, when they get the second team comes in, it's like, write it off. We're done here. The second team offensive line effectively kills preseason offense for a team. Not for Houston. Their second team offensive line might be exactly the same as the first team offensive line.
Oh, man. We still have to do worst rosters.
Yeah,
that'll be a real hot button issue. My number 5 team is the Cincinnati Bengals. Yours is the Broncos. We've discussed them quite a bit. Anything else on Denver? Because again, if I was looking at no weaknesses, Denver's top 5 for me.
Yeah.
But like I said, quarterback and receiver carry a lot for Cincinnati.
I mean, I think you see last year, this team may have been the Super Bowl team if their quarterback hadn't come out of a game and suddenly, it turns out his ankle's wrecked. That's how good the roster is, right? Like this team almost made it that far even without a quarterback effectively by the end. And Bo Nix is not necessarily bad. So, plus, I think Jalen Waddle is a huge addition. I mean, that takes a receiving core that was okay, pretty solid, Cortland Sutton being the number 1 guy, to suddenly Jalen Waddle, Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, Pat Bryant, the Sean Payton's binky of little Jordan Humphrey still there. Like, that's a good group.
The other thing that I've said from a coaching perspective, Denver, Sean Payton's elevated that roster above expectations 3 straight years, as has DeMeco Ryans in Houston. Both coaches above preseason expectations. If there was a knock for Cincinnati being 5, they've underperformed expectations each of the last 2 years. Now, they've had some QB injuries in there as well, last year in particular, but just notable because I'm not accounting. And if we're doing roster strength, we're probably not accounting for coaches just yet.
Right.
But yeah, I'd put Denver 5.
But I think you can at least account for it theoretically in terms of, are these players going to play to the level that we expect of them? Like, where are we ranking the players based off his historical performance within this coaching environment?
That's the thing. Like, it's if you're just looking at players, like it's baked in a little bit unless you have a first-year coach, right? Unless you have a complete change. So those are the top 5 rosters. If you want my next couple really quick, just to go through it.
Why not?
So if Denver's 6,
Yep.
Ravens are 7, Lions 8, Steelers 9, Bucks 10, Patriots 11.
Okay. Ooh, Patriots.
Patriots 11. They were low last year. Remember and then they performed. So that's with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown helps probably bump them up a few spots here. A few spots. It's not going to be perfect across the board, but it's, if you get above certain thresholds, I think you're increasing your ability to get to the playoffs and beyond. All right. The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every goal changes everything. And now FanDuel's giving you a reason to root for every single one. Introducing Every Goal Pays. Starts today, man. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. That's right. More goals means more bonus bets. And all you have to do is turn on your token. So, Sam, you rooting for goals all day today?
Always.
In the next few weeks?
Always. Yes. You want goals. Otherwise Americans are out. They can't handle a game that doesn't have goals.
U.S., we're facing Australia on June 19th. Will you be just before your citizenship to root for us?
Just before,
To root for the homeland here.
No, I don't have to officially root for you until after that. So I can be, Norway and the other teams. Obviously, Ireland didn't make it. So.
Norway's your team to keep an eye on here.
Norway I like. Plus, they got done dirty by the Scots. They were supposed to have a friendly game before, to get the second team, get some minutes and whatever, and the Scots just pulled out 24 hours before the game. They're like, you know what? Nah, we got some injuries. We're not doing it.
Never liked those Scots, right?
They let the side down. They let the Celtic side down. They really did.
So from the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/33rd to get started now. Got to be 21 plus in select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, 18 plus in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-MY-RESET. Call 1-888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. What are we on to here? Worst rosters. So you give your list. Or do you want me to go with the data again?
Why don't we give my list, and then you can tell me how wrong the data says I am.
Sweet.
I found the bottom 5 harder than the top 5. To me, the top 5...
I struggled with the bottom 5.
I think we're reasonably... not self-explanatory, but I think you could draw a reasonable ring fence around those 5, again, with the Rams in their own tier. The bottom 5, I think there's a couple of rosters that are the worst. And then other ones that I was struggling to find, like the next 3, I think were fairly tricky to just find who you want to drag down there. So I'll do it in order of worst to not as worst. The Dolphins, I think, have the worst roster in the NFL. The Cardinals, I think, have the second worst roster in the NFL. Then 3, 4, and 5, I think, were tougher. The Raiders, I think, still have to be down here because there's just so little talent on defense. The Titans, I think, are still down here, even though I like the improvements that they've made, and I think they're definitely moving in the right direction. And then the last team I dragged down this far, which I think is the harshest one, is Washington.
Oh, man.
I don't think that roster is good still.
Interesting.
So, what does the data say?
Well, I had to skew some. So the bottom 3, we agree on both.
Okay.
I had
3.
The bottom 3.
Okay.
Like the top
Dolphins,
3 worst.
Cardinals, Raiders.
Dolphins, Cardinals, Raiders. I had Raiders worst, Dolphins second worst, Cardinals third worst.
That was what Walt was shooting for, to make the top 30.
There we go. Top Raiders at 32 for me. I don't love this. This is gonna be bad. I had the Jets and Giants.
Oh, well, that'll make Lucrative happy. He thinks the Jets suck.
I had the Jets and Giants rounding out the top 5. I'm being a little disingenuous because the data kind of likes the Jets, but it's very rookie class heavy.
Okay.
Because I love their draft.
Yeah.
And that is going to help.
I mean, I think I really like their offseason, like top to bottom. Now, Geno Smith being the quarterback is definitely a cause for concern. But overall, between the veterans that they added in free agency and the draft class that they had, I think they propelled that roster in a significant positive direction.
I'm going to give you a surprise team that shows up very close here.
Ooh.
I'll give that to you in a second.
Okay.
Let's go through the bottom, though. Who do you have? So you had who worst?
Dolphins, Cardinals, Raiders, and then Titans, Washington were my 5.
I mean, the Dolphins make sense. They stripped it.
Giants, Jets.
Yes.
Okay.
I have the Saints kind of close.
Really?
To this, which I don't love.
Yeah.
I think I've got some. First off, whatever, doesn't really matter. I haven't properly adjusted for something quarterback wise, so they're probably in the 20s. They're in the 20s. I guess I think there's reasons to be optimistic about the Saints, but on paper you could see there's still questions on defense.
Kind of like the Patriots from a year ago, like a broad range of outcomes team.
Yeah, I think that's fair for the Saints, but they're plus they're in the NFC South, and I think they're on the ascent.
Yeah,
and that's the other challenge here that I really need to study is not so much like here's this hard and fast preseason ranking, but what about teams that are on the ascent that have just because they've definitely improved.
Yeah.
And if they're on the ascent, is that like a force multiplier
right.
of improvement here? Because the Saints are on their way up. The Dolphins have stripped it down. The Cardinals being bottom 3, again, it makes sense, but I also think there's a world where that group of pass catchers can be special, and Josh Sweat, Walter Nolan, they're not devoid of talent on the Will Johnson, they're not devoid of talent on the defensive side. Budda Baker, you could see that coming together, but yeah, they just they're in the bottom 5 or 6 for sure.
Yeah, I think Miami and Arizona and the Raiders, because they're so one side of the ball devoid, I think those 3 teams are fairly obviously in the bottom. The other ones, though, I think are much more debatable.
So I was surprised to see the Giants this low, but they're not. Again, I've got my own little math thing I haven't done yet. I haven't properly adjusted for say year 2 quarterbacks in their projection. So they're probably a little bit higher. The Titans are right on the cusp. So same thing, year 2 quarterback. Yeah. They're right on the cusp. I was with you. The bottom rosters, I think beyond the bottom 3, I thought were difficult.
Yeah, I kind of like the Giants roster overall. I'm not taking the top 10 or anything, but I don't think that's a bad roster. Again, a lot of that depends on what you're going to get from Jackson Dart going forward and some of the unknowns, and it's a very young roster, which probably doesn't help any numerical ranking of them. But I could see that group being pretty good pretty quickly. So many of the defensive players underachieved last year that I would expect that to improve with a different coach of any description.
For who?
The Giants.
That's the thing, too. This is all based off of...
we know Javon Holland is a good player,
right.
And yet he had a PFF grade in the 50s or whatever last year.
And I'm looking at 2 years of NFL data, but it's still going to be...
Yeah.
It's still a factor, the
right.
fact that all of those, Adebo and Holland and those guys all underachieved last year.
So I would assume a lot of these players for the Giants under Harbaugh improved dramatically this year. And if Jackson Dart continues what he looked like he was going to do as a rookie and doesn't concuss himself into oblivion, I think this roster and team could be pretty good.
I also, I liked their draft. It was fine. I didn't love it. The data doesn't love Arvell Reese. It doesn't love Colton Hood. Just doesn't love any of their draft prospects. I understand all those prospects. I also think Reese, upside wise, could be incredible.
Big X factor. Yeah.
But we don't know.
Right.
We don't, and it's not as the thing we kept saying about Reese. It's it's not as clean as other edge rush type of prospects. And if he's a linebacker, will he even have that kind of impact?
Yeah, he's not as boom or bust as Caleb Banks that we were talking about for the Vikings, because I think he probably has a lower chance of just outright busting. But he does have a broad range of outcomes. Like he could become complete superstar, transcendent, hybrid, game-changing defensive weapon. He could be elite at either one of two different positions, edge rusher or off-the-ball linebacker, or he could just be this okay hybrid who's trapped in a, solid, useful player, but is not really doing any of that,
I hear you. All right, let me see. The bottom four teams for me last year: Panthers, Saints, Titans, Browns.
Okay.
Panthers won. No team won more than 8 games. The Panthers were a division winner, though. So data's broken.
But all the way through the season made no damn sense.
Right. So directionally good. Patriots were low last year too, and of course we know they went to the Super Bowl. So It's not all.
So where does the data have Washington, the one team that I've got down there that you haven't mentioned yet? Because that's the one team with a definitively good quarterback right now.
Where's Washington?
Who I have down there?
20th.
Okay, so it doesn't love it,
20th.
even with Jaden Daniels there. Right.
I'll tell you. So here's the team I was surprised to see this low, like right on the border of bottom 5. Minnesota Vikings.
Ooh.
I was surprised by that.
That is interesting.
And I'm trying to figure out why.
Yeah.
Jonathan Grenard leaving probably hurts them.
Definitely.
So quarterback it's okay. Like bringing in Kyler, that's not going to kill you. The defensive line overall is going to be on the weaker side because you go from the 3-man group.
It's a lot unproven now.
To now, Dallas Turner and Van Ginkel, which likes Van Ginkel. It doesn't love the interior of the offensive line because the model didn't love Donovan Jackson coming out. He was okay as a rookie. It's not, and then there's uncertainty on the interior of the offensive line now.
Yeah.
Darisaw missing time with injury probably hurts his projection. Hawkinson regressing a little bit last year, I think hurts his progression. It doesn't love the receivers as much as I do. Is that Addison missing time and not being as – and then, some of it's going to be they weren't as productive with J.J. McCarthy, so maybe this is Nine's fault.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking up and down. The cornerbacks are just okay, even though I love James Pierre as a breakout player.
Yep.
Isaiah Rodgers, can he maintain it? Safety's taking a hit with no Harrison Smith on the roster. Now, if you plopped him in on the roster, maybe it bumps up a little bit. So I'm just looking up and down the position group rankings, and I think there's some names.
There's also a lot. I mean, they have.
But they all got older last. Aaron Jones is a year older. Jefferson's production took a hit. Addison was a little bit banged up, and his production took a hit. I like Jawan Jennings, but they're just older across the board at a lot of spots because of the years of not drafting well. And so I was surprised to see the Vikings this low in the numbers.
Yeah, when you look at their roster from last year, they have a lot of average to below average PFF grades, even in units that performed well.
Yeah, that
can't be helping either. But guys that you just assume were decent players because the defense or whatever was amazing, and they've been decent players, did not necessarily have great seasons individually, at least in terms of PFF grading.
So now, I mentioned the coaching deal, right? They were +4 above expectation in 2022, Kevin O'Connell's first year, plus 1.8 in 2023 above win expectation, plus 5.5 above expectation in 2024, and then last year minus 2.4, underachieved relative to expectation. Now, could you chalk all that up to going from Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold to J.J. McCarthy? Could you chalk it all up to quarterback? And if Kyler Murray just gets them back on track, we're back to Kevin O'Connell's. Great. On paper, I've got them as their worst roster since 2014.
Wow. The fact that the offensive line is still as big of a question mark as it is a real problem for them. Because remember, everyone wants to just rewind history and be like, they screwed up letting Sam Darnold walk. But part of the reason they let him walk was to spend money on the offensive line and be like, look, coming out of that season, the offensive line got destroyed in the final couple of games, and that was in part why Sam Darnold was seen to have melted down. It's like, well, I can't get Darnold back. I can't get the good Darnold without spending on the offensive line. I can't spend on the offensive line if I have to pay Sam Darnold. So we're trapped between a rock and a hard place. If we go spend on the offensive line, that should fix that, and theoretically that sets the thing up for J.J. McCarthy to come in and be good, right? Now, as it turned out, basically every element of that went badly, right? Darnold left and looked really good elsewhere. That's bad. J.J. McCarthy came in, looked garbage. That's bad. And the offensive line that you invested in didn't stay healthy, didn't play well, and didn't get fixed. So literally every possible element of the calculus that you ran went south in the one move. And some of it you could have seen coming, but some of it you couldn't. I mean, it's not like any of the offensive linemen that they invested in were necessarily slam dunks, right? Like there was no Tyler Linderbaum, say, out there in free agency when they went to the market. But you bring in Ryan Kelly with a concussion history, and he then gets immediately concussed and now is basically out of the NFL because of concussions. Maybe that was an investment that you shouldn't have made. You pay big money to Will Fries, who just hasn't yet backed up that investment. And then Donovan Jackson was a big investment in the draft, and he's yet to back that up. But now maybe Fries will come good. Maybe Donovan Jackson will come good. If Blake Brandel is the worst offensive lineman you've got, if Michael Juergens or whatever is the worst offensive lineman you've got, you're okay, right? But if all three of those guys basically back up last year with another subpar year, then the investment you made in the offensive line did nothing. Like you still have a bad offensive line in the interior, and you're still in bits. And again, because Kyler Murray is a unique quarterback that needs to play the game in a unique way, an interior offensive line that's not good is not helping that, right? So that's my big worry for the Vikings is you have a great pair of bookend tackles. If Darrisaw's back healthy, and he's claiming he is, Brian O'Neill is good, that's a great starting point. But if your interior trio is bad, your offense may still be in trouble.
Yeah, I have their tackles pretty high. I mean, they're good.
Yeah.
Darrisaw
is a top-tier player if he's healthy, and he's claiming this is last year he was never fully healthy.
It's one of the better tackle tandems in the NFL. There's
really
questions. Interior O-line, I've got them pretty low.
Yeah. That's one. And look, I'm not writing them all off. Like Donovan Jackson showed some flashes. Will Fry has been better in the past. Those guys could come good. And again, if they come good and they have 1 weak link and it's at center, that offensive line is good. But if all three of those guys, the guards and the center, continue to play average to below average football, that offensive line is still in trouble, and that would be a catastrophe given what they spent on it.
The other place the data just doesn't love him. Like the data, I had Kalen Banks as a 30-something draft score, so didn't love Banks, didn't love Big Citrus, despite the awesome nickname. Yeah. Likes Golday, but he's at linebacker.
Right.
So as far as I think listen again, I understand Banks. I wouldn't have done it, but I get what you're chasing there as far as upside goes, but the data is not going to love any of those the draft additions. I mean, he's to a team that has not had draft additions at a high level for the last 5 years or so.
We've said he's a classic boom or bust prospect, and not just that, but the data says bust, right? He's a boom or bust prospect, and the data would lean bust on him. So it's obviously not going to like him as an impact addition to the defense.
All right, so those I hated putting the Jets here because I actually have them kind of high.
I think that's a solid
higher in the data, but I don't necessarily. I don't know how quickly the rookies hit the ground running and everything.
Sure, I mean that's always a question mark, but I don't think that's a bad roster anymore.
No, it's not. I mean the non-quarterback group.
Other than the quarterback, which is potentially.
There's questions at wide receiver 2. Mm-hmm. There's questions. I mean, the offensive line's pretty much back intact. There's the defensive line's coming together with David Bailey being added with Joseph Asai to Will McDonald off the edge. David Onyemata was a really nice pickup. Tavondre Sweat was a nice addition. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a lot better than it was last year.
Demario Davis is still playing ball at a really high level, even though he's 85 years old. Micah Fitzpatrick being added to the team. They've now added a spine of proven quality veteran playmakers to go with the young players. Maybe I like this more because I see such an obvious pattern to what they're doing, but I think this is a cohesive strategy that seems to work together, in my opinion. They added this spine of proven quality veteran players, even if they're not long-term solutions. They then bolstered that with young draft additions at basically every level, right? You bring in David Bailey on the defensive line. You bring in D'Angelo Pons at cornerback. They've to go with these established veterans that are already there. And as much as I agree with you that there's huge question marks at wide receiver 2, however, unlike other teams where there's question marks at wide receiver 2 and I don't really see an obvious answer, there's a variety of different ways their wide receiver 2 question mark could be answered. And they're different. Like Omar Cooper Jr., immediate draft answer, potentially, right? If you don't like Omar Cooper Jr., the hype train for Adonai Mitchell, right? The new, we answered this re-recording yesterday, and I've forgotten already.
Dante Moncrief.
Yeah. The new Dante Moncrief, right? Adonai Mitchell, every preseason he's going to be the superstar. It's going to be his year to click. Maybe he does it. The great Tim Patrick, right? If you don't like Fool's Gold, if you don't like the rookie, Tim Patrick's the steady hand that's going to get it done all by himself, right? Like there's a variety of different ways that wide receiver 2 for this team could actually be okay. Plus the pivot to tight end stuff. Like I like this roster. I don't think it's bad.
So I've like manually dropped them in my head a little bit because I'm still tweaking the knobs on my model and everything. But their draft class, because I'm trying to weigh draft class projection with returning NFL production. If I was ranking, like the Jets draft class is so strong in my numbers, it wants to put them like closer to middle of the pack,
right,
rather than bottom 5. So that's where the Jets are. That's how strong the numbers are on D'Angelo Pons, Omar Cooper, Kenyon Sadiq, and David Bailey. That's how strongly I believe the data believes in their draft class.
I, for one, stand with the model.
All right.
With the one caveat of Geno Smith might suck.
It is a big caveat.
Talk to me about Washington, because I think that's a bad roster, and you didn't have them that far down.
So, yeah, I have them 20th. Their edge rush group bumped up heavily with the Odafe Owe addition, Kayvon Chason. Mm-hmm. So both of those guys upgraded it quite a bit. It likes...
Chason upgraded it that much?
A little bit. I mean, it added something. Odafe Owe
right,
doing the heavy lifting there. Big time heavy lifting in the numbers. Joshua Joseph says it, 5th rounder, adding a little bit there. So they just have much better depth there. Tim Settle coming in to go with Daron Payne, Drazon Newton, and Javon Kinlaw. That's much better. Just having
Kinlaw,
Settle.
certainly think so.
This has Settle as the best projected player out of that group. But I'm saying, he's played good ball.
Yeah.
He's played good. Leo Chanel bumps up the linebacking group. So,
Sonny Styles.
Listen, we said, I think you may have forgotten, when we were ranking off seasons, I think we had Washington in the top 5.
This year?
I think we did.
Really?
We had, because Chanel at linebacker, Odafe Owe at edge,
wait, did we
Settle
do
at defensive tackle, Amik Robertson at corner, Nick Cross at safety. I mean,
they threw a lot at it.
They added a lot on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Now, I still have the massive question at receiver.
Yes.
Yeah, Rashad. So we'll come back to receiver. Rashad White at running back to go with Bill Krosky-Merritt. Mm-hmm. And O-line wise, you're banking on year 2 of Josh Connolly, Sam Cosme's back, Laramie Tunsil's back. It's not bad. It's a solid offensive line,
which is boosted.
And the biggest question is going to be, I mean, if you were making the case against them, you would say if the Bengals can be elevated so much by their 2 receivers, Terry McLaurin not having a legitimate threat, and maybe 3rd-round pick Antonio Williams or Luke McCaffrey or Jalen Lane. I mean, Nick Nash, Will Serio's high school teammate, maybe Nick Nash.
It's his time to shine.
Is the future.
Traylon Burks caught that one pass in the end zone and got himself a new contract.
Traylon Burks had a great catch.
It's his breakout time.
So that'd be the biggest question for Washington now.
Plus, tight end is weak, so it's not even like they're a team where,
Sinnott could be good. Ben Sinnott.
I mean, he could be. But
Sinnott's going to have a good season.
And
Chiga Conquo. I actually think tight end.
Chiga Conquo is just tight end A.D. Mitchell.
What if? I'm saying with David Blau.
I've seen
David
the hype.
Blau's, Ben Johnson, tight end heavy system. I think Sinnott and Okonkwo have a chance to do some damage.
I mean, maybe, but as of right now, it's Terry McLaurin and nobody else as a pass catcher.
No, I get it. That's the issue. But right. I think where they've been bumped up and they're not bottom 5 anymore is what they've done on the defensive side of the ball. Owe, Chason, Settle, Chanel, the huge additions to the front 7 that needed a lot of help.
Yeah.
So that's where Washington. But I still only have them 20th.
Yeah.
That would get bumped up.
Even with Jaden
a healthy season of Jaden Daniels.
Yes.
Probably bumps them up. But yeah, I think their roster is better than it was heading into last year. When again we were trying to say, man, they really overachieved in year 1. Here's where I struggle, Sam. Mm-hmm. When you get the first-year head coach having a really good season and what to do with that. So off the top of my head, historically, the Brian Daboll year 1 in 2022 where that mediocre Giants team wins 11 games. You have Dan Quinn in year one with Washington with a rookie quarterback going to the NFC Championship. And it's like, man, they should not have been this good. They were not that great defensively on paper, but Jaden Daniels was that good, and he was making all the right moves on fourth down. Mike McDonald, year one with Seattle, was good, not great, but year two he takes a big jump. But Mike Vrabel for years in Tennessee, we're like, he's always going to be elevating his team until he had a couple down seasons, but then he goes to New England and boom, they're in the Super Bowl with a team that didn't look like a Super Bowl team on paper. My point is figuring out when the coach is a consistent difference maker, because Daboll looked like he could be, and we said, well, the Giants don't look like they're great on paper, but Daboll might just work his magic with Dan, and he didn't beyond that. So that'd be the question for Quinn. I was so impressed with Dan Quinn in 2024 because he had gone from, I think he was a good coach in Atlanta. He became a very good defensive coordinator in Dallas, changed his system, evolved, and I thought you saw so much growth from Dan Quinn, from head coach back to coordinator, then his first year of head coach, but then last year they have all these injuries, and again, I don't think the roster was great. So you're asking him to do, work his magic. So all that to be said, how good is Dan Quinn as a head coach? I think overall he's really good. So there's a chance the Commanders outplay their roster status. Plus, if Jaden Daniels is back to being a top 5 to 8 quarterback, then that changes a lot. So I think Commanders at 20, 21-ish, roster-wise is fair. And then you can just see them, QB, head coach, elevating them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What else are we rambling about here today?
That's it in terms of roster strength, I think. What about your glorious baseball performance?
Oh, there was some other football news.
Was there? Well, we hit the Joe Burrow contract.
Burrow restructure. Dolphins and center Aaron Brewer.
Oh, yeah.
3-year.
Got himself paid.
$52.5 million
Good
extension.
for Aaron Brewer.
The modern marvel.
Aaron
Brewer. Now, Josh Simmons is saying, well, if that guy
can
get paid at $280,
why not me?
I'll play at $280.
There is like 7 inches in height between the two of them, but whatever.
Joel Bitonio has retired.
Yeah. Hell of a career for him.
Former guard. Mm-hmm. Or guard.
You see him mentioned that they asked him about, the plans. He was like, well, as a rookie, you roommated with Johnny Football and learned a lot about what not to do.
That's great. So he came in with Johnny Football. That's
yeah.
Great. And then the Bears officially moving to Hammond. Not officially, but planning to move.
Man, that sucks.
To Indiana. I don't know enough about the situation to comment either way. I feel like Bears fans are sensitive on either side of this.
Of course.
So I don't want to wade into it.
No, I don't either, except to say that I think if you have a historical, iconic stadium, you should be trying to stay in it. Like these things, you can renovate stadiums. You can, they've already renovated Soldier Field in the past, right? Like you can do these things. And that is one of the iconic venues in the NFL. It's a shame to see them not just leave that stadium, but also potentially leave Chicago entirely to go plonk yourself down in the back arse of rural Indiana somewhere that's vaguely in proximity to Chicago.
Lots of good seafood there, though.
Yeah.
It's the seafood capital of the world.
I saw Brian Urlacher. I mean, he was like, look, the Bears should always be playing in Soldier Field, and they should always play outdoors.
Yes.
Like, I agree 100%. And coming from us, that means nothing, right? We're just two guys sitting on a couch watching these games. But like a former Chicago Bear great thinks that, right? That guy spent his career and is steeped in black and blue winter football, ugly conditions, mud, rain, snow. That's what he wants, right? I think it's a shame that we're sanitizing the NFL and shifting everyone into suburbs and building
or just indoors. I know there's
all of it.
Multiple schools of thought on this. There's Pete Prisco, maybe, which I'm surprised at, and Kurt Warner, which I'm not surprised at.
Right.
Are big dome advocates.
Sanitize it all.
Sanitize it. Let's make it same conditions no matter what.
Right.
But part of what makes football special is that the domed Rams might have to travel.
Yeah.
I mean, the formerly domed St. Louis Rams might have to travel. And that you had this Florida teams have to go to the Northeast or to the Midwest and play in the snow. Tua's
like the
Dolphins
clash
have
of
to go
styles.
play
Yeah.
in now 30 below might be a little unsafe, but they got to play in sub-freezing temperatures and figure out how they travel. And then you have team building decisions made off of that. Then you have stats like the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer, and I'm like, we need to adjust for stadium stuff. You have to adjust for the fact that swirling winds and cold for 6 games a year or whatever it may be is challenging.
One of the only selling points that college football had to me way back was when you could have a clash of styles that put Colt Brennan's Hawaii, spread
The run and
offense.
shoot.
Right, the run and shoot
Old school
spread
run and
offense
shoot.
under June Jones going up against a Navy triple option, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't see that in the NFL, right? The idea that you could have this crazy, most pass-happy offense you could possibly come up with versus a legitimate triple option where they barely ever put the ball in the air, that's awesome. Like that clash of styles is cool. The NFL doesn't have that schematically, but what they do have is the Miami Dolphins, have to play a team like Chicago or, a team where it could be Cleveland. It could be snowing, Buffalo in the same division. It could be cold and snowing or, when teams go down there in September, right, to Miami, it's like if you're on the wrong sideline, you're getting baked alive by the sun. You're not used to that. I think that's good. I don't see why we need to try and level this playing field to this pure sound. Everyone plays at 65 degrees in a dome. There's no wind. Why? The variance is good.
I get why people want that.
I think
I get why people want that. I'm just not one that wants that.
the variance is good to me. Like
I agree.
The difference in styles, the difference in venue, the difference in home. Like that's why it's a home field advantage.
Right.
If everyone's playing in the same dome at the same temperature with just a slightly different crowd noise, that's crap.
Baseball has different stadiums. They have different dimensions, different sizes of the wall. It's what part of what makes it unique.
Right. I also
Football
think
has all different weather. The fact that football starts in late summer where you could have 100-degree days
Right.
and then finishes in winter, in the middle of winter, where you could have, negative 30. I think that's part of what makes football and the
Agreed.
whole season special.
And then overall, I also think it's a big shame, this push that all stadiums are moving out to the suburbs. We're leaving cities now. Like everything is becoming a big thing out like 50 miles away from where you're actually playing. Like stadiums in cities are good. Stadiums in the communities of the place that they're supposedly named after are good. Figure it out, right? Like it's one of the biggest businesses on the planet. Everyone's rich, more money than they know what to do with. They're still dragging like for public funding to move out to the suburbs where the real estate is cheaper. Just figure it out. Keep the stadium where it is. So we're in this weird world right now where there's all these European accounts, right, tweeting basically tourist stuff from America. Look at this. This is amazing. And they're all like a guy who was driving by Green Bay, right? It's just like this random little subdivision of houses. And then, oh, look, there's Lambeau Field. Like, that's crazy. That's awesome. What would happen if Green Bay, we've had a disagreement with the landlords, right? And we're going to shift this 50 miles somewhere else, right? But go the other way and go into all these European cities and all these great stadiums. They're in the city, right? Like the Nou Camp in Barcelona, the Bernabeu, Croke Park in Dublin, all these amazing, iconic European historical stadiums are in the city. It's a thing. It's part of the experience. Is you stay in the city, you're out of the pub or whatever before the game, you walk to the stadium, and then you're back out to the pubs, and it's all good. Here, wherever this ends up being rooted, the Chicago stadium that won't even be in the state of Illinois, let alone in Chicago, like none of that is the case, right? You're going to be schlepping 50 miles to a car park to watch the game and then schlepping 50 miles back. It's a disaster. That's bad. That's objectively bad. I don't really care whose fault it is, right? If it's the city, if it's the Bears, don't care. Get together. You're all rich. Figure it out. Figure it out.
Shut your mouth in the chat, David, too. That Fenway's a dump.
These stadiums are not 20,000 people. Croke Park is an 82,000 stadium. The Bernabeu is huge. Nou Camp is huge as well. That's
How's
incorrect.
traffic getting in and out of those places?
there isn't traffic. That's my point. Is that they've I mean there is, but they're because they're in the city. They're set up with public transport. Like there's train stations. There's
Still
you can
getting
walk
into
to it.
Fenway's just because it smells of urine, just because people above 6'2" can't sit straight without their knees jamming into the seat ahead, just doesn't mean it's a dump. Just because there's obstructed view and there's still poles in the way, and the scalpers will cover the obstructed view warning on the tickets that you buy, doesn't mean Fenway's a dump. But it's tough getting in and out of there.
But like
Very tough getting in and out of there. Like you got to play in your whole day. 7 o'clock game, we got to get in by. You got to leave at 2
Right.
to get into the city. That's my favorite thing about Cincinnati. I'm in and out.
I know
I'm home 20 minutes after the last pitch of the game.
But
which is
these are
unreal.
things that you should be figuring out, right? The state. It's not like it's a new development that oh look, the people are surprised that Soldier Field just showed up, right? Soldier Field's been there a while, right? Seems like we could have figured out the public transport system by now, right? But like 182,000 people walk to Croke Park effectively for a game, right? It's not that hard to do. And these are not small stadiums. The Bernabeu is 83,000. The new camp is 105 or whatever. These are not tiddly regional things. These are big American-sized stadiums, if you like.
Really quick, I was reading on the Minnesota projections a little while ago. Kevin O'Connell has 2 years where they were +5 above win expectation, and then 23 they were below, and last year they were about where they were expected. Just wanted to clarify the earlier mistake.
Okay. Do we have any other
Still
news?
have the worst roster in a while, though.
Do we have any other NFL news to get to?
No, I think that's about it.
All right. So what about your baseball?
So I pitched again last night against the Yankees.
Against the Yankees.
The Cincy Yankees. The men's league.
Cincy Yankees.
I did find out my catcher is officially 66 years old.
66?
Yeah. He's still getting after it.
Sort of.
They also had me hit. They asked if I wanted to hit, and I hit.
And how did that go? Start.
Okay, so I hit in the bottom of the lineup so that I get some fastballs. Don't want any off-speed stuff. So I take the first pitch, gauging the speed. I'm like, not bad. I could handle this. I've had 7 at-bats in the last 26 years. 7 at-bats.
Uh-huh.
I'm a 250 hitter in AAA.
Yeah.
1 for 4 in AAA, 0 for 3 in AA.
Uh-huh.
But I have 7 professional at-bats since I graduated high school in 2000. When I was all-state first baseman as a hitter.
Right.
Just so we know. But I've only got 7 at-bats since then. 1 for 7 in my pro career. So I took the first pitch. I was like, all right, I got this. Timed it up, was ready, and I got my hands inside the ball, grounded to short. Not great. Grounded to short my first time, hobbled to first base. Jogged, embarrassingly. I'm not running hard. Can't do it at this age. So I grounded to short. Next at bat, first pitch ball. It's 1-0. I'm like, all right, dead red, sitting fastball here. I'm gonna crush it. I'm feeling good. I'm gonna crush this thing. Think through the middle. Line drive up the middle. So I hands back, go to swing. 1-0, throws in at 1-0 curveball to me, a lefty curveball. And I kept my hands back and I flew out to center with it. If it was a fastball, that thing's gone. Mm-hmm. I was actually shot, but I made contact twice.
Yeah.
Saw only 4 pitches, hit 2 of them. It was all right. It was pretty good. So 2 at-bats.
Okay.
Went 0 for 2. Come in to pitch in relief, and warming up, I was a little worried because I got this catch.
Twinge.
In the shoulder. And I'm like, that's never good. Saps your velocity in the shoulder. I'm like, this is not going to be good. I've done it this time.
You didn't do your whatever exercise.
No, I did my recovery stuff and everything, but I was a little worried about the way it was feeling.
No, I mean you keep talking about whatever shoulder rotation exercise I need to do for my banged up shoulder.
You got to do sleeper stretch, even though somebody told me never to do sleeper stretch, and scap.
Oh, yeah?
Scap did my scap exercises last night. So I came out, got ambushed first pitch. Ambushed. Guy swung for. I'm just trying to get it over. He just swings first pitch, single to right.
That's not cool to swing at the first pitch.
I mean, I'm just trying to get one in there. I mean, it's just I didn't appreciate it.
Okay.
The guy was pretty good though. So he sticks his bat out, hits a single, but then I go strikeout. Had my first couple Ks. So I go 2 innings, 1 hit, 4 strikeouts. Feeling really good. Just 24 pitches. pretty much all fastballs by people, just blowing fastballs by people. Catcher's like, man, you're throwing hard. Now, you asked about the gun.
Yeah, the radar.
My
Speed.
sons were all at the game, and one of their friends' dads plays, and so their friend was there, and he's got this little like pocket radar thing.
Pocket radar?
Yeah, you got this pocket radar. The pocket radar, which could never be wrong.
No, why not?
Apparently said 91 at one point. Now, on other pitches, it may have said 2, and it also said 101. So I'm somewhere in that range.
You're somewhere between 2 and 101 miles an hour.
I mean, I do have this outside dream that I'm like, the story of the rookie, the Disney movie, The Rookie. Do you hear the whole story?
No.
So long story short, Jim Morris, former pro player, retired, coach in high school for like 7 years. He's throwing BP to his kids all the time, and they're like, man, you kind of throw hard. He goes to like the radar guns on the highway and supposedly throws one past it, and it said like 98 on the gun.
Right.
So he goes to a Rays tryout and was legitimately throwing 98 as a 36-year-old. Had never done that when he played professionally. And he goes and they sign him and he goes to the big leagues. He's a 37-year-old rookie. There's a part of me that's like, man, if 15 years rest, it'd be cool if you
Maybe my arm got stronger.
What if you were just throwing it in the 90s? I'm not. But I guess I was throwing pretty hard. I wasn't trying to. I was just trying to throw it. I was just trying to get it over.
I have to find the radar gun we used in my garage and give it to you.
You can come
find out. No, I'm not going. But I can give it to you.
You don't want to come watch?
No. But I can give it to your family and they can put the gun on you.
Okay. Just for fun?
Because that's our baseline.
For the content.
That's been established that you throw 75.
So they claimed I was throwing hard. So
using that gun, you throw 75 and I throw 60.
So here's where it went south. I go 2 innings, 24 pitches, 4 strikeouts. Can't go out on a higher note.
Which has gone well thus far.
And we're losing. We're a bad team. So we're losing. And then I was like, yeah, get somebody else in. We're getting crushed. And the catcher and the older pitcher are like, no, you got to go back out there. You look great. Fine. I'll go back out there. And I know my body. You don't want to go out. You know, getting up and down to warm up and sit down. I haven't done that a lot. I was a 2-inning guy at most.
Right.
At the end of my career. 1-inning guy, really. So I go out there and it was just imploded. The 3rd inning.
Huh.
Exhausted. Body's failing me. Hitting batters. Hit 2 guys.
Hitting people.
There's 2 dudes just working their jobs today.
Right.
Just got nailed in the ribs, square in the back, sore today because of me. I'm over there. It's a men's league. I'm apologizing to them. I'm like, sorry, dudes. Like, you're just coming out here trying to play a little men's league baseball, and I'm putting me in the back. I threw one like 3 feet behind a guy. I just repeating my mechanics in this 3rd inning was a struggle. So in my head, this never happened. The 3rd inning didn't happen. Doesn't count. It wasn't in there. I wanted out after 2 innings. I wanted to go out on a high note. Got bullied into it by the veterans on the team. And really sucked 3rd inning.
The good news is...
And then I got really frustrated. Probably acted like a child in the dugout. The fact that I went out there and was awful. And it ruined my night.
Ruined your stats, too.
Ruined my stats.
The good news is...
I was fully prepared to have the lower third. I mean, just put it up. Just put my first 2 innings up there. 2 innings, 1 hit, 4 Ks. Beautiful.
Based on
stat line.
The pace that I saw you pitching at, it probably didn't hurt that much getting hit by the pitch.
No, they said I was throwing hard last night.
Yeah, but that was the first 2 innings.
Yeah, I mean,
by the 3rd, you were back to where you were when you were pitching at me, and that wouldn't have hurt that much.
I'm not going to lie. There's a part of me that's like, did 91 come out of my hand? I don't know. Was 91 in there? Was I loosened up a little bit?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No.
Everybody thinks I was in the 80s, though. At least in the 80s. They think it's there.
I mean, I'd be surprised by even that, but all right.
I'm just saying, this is by everybody. Now, they're not used to seeing... If I was throwing 80, it's like high school. Like if you're throwing low 80s, it's hard for most high school, and you can get it by guys. So that's probably what the league velocity is. You're used to facing guys in the 70s. So if you do get it high 70s into the 80s, it's, with my size, it's deceptive in the whole thing. So I don't know. The gun said 101 at one point. So
yeah, I don't think it was that either, to be honest.
Who's to argue? The guns these days?
Yeah.
There's a whole contingency of old school baseball players who are convinced that all the guns these days are they're just reading differently and that they're all jacked
sure they
up.
are.
But it's not really, though. Now, guys that played in the 80s might have a case, but guys who played in my era, like 15 years ago, I mean, it's not.
No, but I bet like the variance in those things is huge.
Oh yeah,
And that's why.
there's some.
Yeah, like the
Radar guns are quirky. Like because if you sit behind scouts at a game or anything like that, you might have 10 scouts,
right.
and they all have a gun, and they'll read differently.
Yeah, that's
like
what I'm
based
saying.
off the angle. Like one says 92, this one
Right.
says 90, and they're all different angles. I mean, it's like the dudes with their stopwatches.
Right.
Like, oh, I got 4.3. Oh, I got 4.28. You know,
That's my point. Is I suspect the variance in those things must be huge.
there is some variance. There is a little bit of variance, but not enough. I mean, the players. There are some players who played in like the late 90s who were like, oh no, nobody's playing. You know, it's 6 miles an hour harder. Or it's reading out of the hand now versus further. It's like it's been reading out of the hand since the 80s. It's been your max velocity out of hand, since the 80s or whatever. Now there were probably some guys like Nolan Ryan probably did touch 100 back in the day, but we can't really confirm it. Anyway, I was all excited to come in here and be like, man, made contact twice, had 2 awesome innings.
Yeah. And then
Back
they made
on
you
track.
Go back out again.
And it was like
you let yourself down.
30 pitch inning. And that's what I think I was most mad about. I could have had 2 innings, 24 pitches, easy recovery. Like I'm building it up. And now I'm just like, that's not good for my body.
Yeah.
That is not good. So that's it. It's mostly fun. Baseball's fun when you're good at it. It's not fun when you're not good at it.
That's a lot of sports. Most
Yeah.
sports, in fact.
I know. I know you've talked about that. Like when you lost a step, you're like,
Sucks.
not cool.
No.
And then my wife's like, listen, you're 44 years old and haven't pitched in 15 years, and you had 2 good innings and got tired. You just put it in perspective. Oh yeah,
What he wants perspective.
appreciate it. Benny, my 3rd child, was like, Daddy, you were not good. You were not good. I'm like, did you see the first 2 innings?
Nah. I saw the most recent thing, and that was bad.
Wife's checking in on me right now. How you feeling?
Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad. Tomorrow will be a little bit worse. But, sore. Normal muscle soreness.
Yeah.
The shoulder's not as bad as I thought. And I'm honestly shocked that they thought I was throwing hard, and my fastball was playing as it did, because I was like, I'm just going to throw it easy and try to just throw strikes early on. And it was popping. So that's encouraging. Playing hard. I don't want the gun. If I overthrow for the gun, it's going to be bad news.
No, you wouldn't. You don't need to,
No, because then I'm going to go back to every time
just be out there.
Every time I was in college and scouts came, I'm like, oh, scout, let me overthrow it. And it was bad.
Don't think about it. Put the gun out of your mind. Just let somebody get a data point on this.
I really struggled. Every time a scout came, I knew a scout was there. I think I struggled. Just mental midget.
The more you talk,
Can't say
yeah,
that.
the more you
can't say it. That's what we used to say. Are you allowed to say that? Mental small.
The more you talk about your career, it does sound an awful lot like there were some fairly significant psychological gaps in your profile.
And I made it to AAA.
Yeah.
With all of that.
But it's like,
despite all of that.
How come why didn't he work out? It's like, it does sound like there's some fairly obvious missing things here.
No, this is me being really hard on myself because I was that close. But I'm being hard on myself. Like in this league, I've got a pretty good slider. And I'm like, in my head, I've got a terrible slider because it was a terrible major league slider. Like,
right.
My standards are higher. And that's part of the reason why I haven't played in 15 years is because I just don't want to go out there and, be less than what I can be. And it's going to eat at me. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
So for 2 innings, it was great. We'll just keep that.
No, it's really, I hate when the thing you're good at disappears.
Yeah.
Like when you stop being the fastest person on the field, that sucks. I don't like that.
Changes.
Yeah.
Changes things.
Now, like that happened every now and again where you would run into somebody that's like, there's always levels to this, right? Like I was fast, but I wasn't an Olympic sprinter fast. So if you run up against somebody that's like, that guy's like professional athlete fast, he's faster than me. But that didn't happen very often where I found a guy that was faster than me. So usually I was the fastest guy in the field. And then when that stops happening, it's like, oh, this is awful. I don't like this at all.
Everything, right?
It's like the one thing I have bringing to the table. If that's not there anymore, what am I even doing here?
I'll tell you what people don't realize, and it's funny. We analyze pro players and everything, and but like when you're in it, it is challenging mentally. Like Paul Skeens. You see what Paul Skeens did the other day?
Yeah, rocked up to a bunch of kids.
That's so cool, right? What a challenging thing to do as a professional is to remind yourself it's a kid's game, enjoy this, pretend like it's Pop Warner if you're playing football, pretend like it's Little League, just go out there and have fun. Because when you're in it, now Skeen's pressure is different than, say, my pressure. He's got the pressure of being the best pitcher in the world, maintaining that status, right? My pressure was like, man, I just want to make it to the big leagues. And I remember being one of my buddies pitching. He had a terrible game. I came in after him. I had a terrible game. And, we go out for dinner after, and it's like, man, did we just blow our shot at the big leagues? Because, like, your whole season could blow up in a game, statistically and everything, and, confidence from the organization. It's just a challenge, man. It's a challenge to treat it like a fun game and not a job professionally, and when you have a bad day, it affects everything. So, anyway, just wanted to get that out there, like a therapy session. Dominated for 2 innings, though. Felt good till the third.
What is what's the average age of this collection of people?
I bet the average is in the 30s. There's just some
In the 30s.
Yeah, 30s and 40s. Late 30s, early 40s, maybe.
Okay.
It depends on the team. There are some teams that just grab all these like former college baseball players and stuff, and then other teams. There's some haves and have-nots in the league, I guess.
I hate to see it.
And I've faced 2 of the better teams, from what I understand. My team happens to have like a 57-year-old pitcher and a 66-year-old catcher. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't be all that excited about the 4 strikeouts in 2 innings. But I'm 44.
Yeah.
Man, my buddy Rich Hill pitching in the big leagues till 45. Nolan Ryan pitching till 46.
Yeah.
And throwing gas. Not easy, man. Not easy. Anyway, that's enough. I thought you were going to come down for the content to see it.
That's a long way. It's Blue Ash, right? I'm not driving to Blue Ash.
Blue Ash. I'll let you know if we're closer to.
Yeah. Well, let me know when
neck
you're
of
in
the woods.
Anderson sometime. I'll come to that.
The catcher is really blowing out the average. He threw a guy out for me, too.
Yeah?
He threw a guy out at third. It was awesome.
From his knees.
Yes.
Yeah.
He catches from his knees, throws from his knees.
Kyle Baller.
It was amazing. Kyle Bowler. It's pretty good. It was fun. I can't believe I made contact twice hitting, too. It was great. Good night. I'm going to get frustrated about the third inning again. No, that's all. That's it for us today. Now, listen, we had some questions. We're back to 2 days a week. We had some questions about this.
Right.
We're Monday, Thursday.
Yes.
Wednesdays we're taking off until about training camp or late training camp.
The off-season cadence.
Off-season cadence.
Monday, Thursday.
There's still plenty of, videos. We've got a lot of content on Mondays and Thursdays. We also want to get more ideas on shows, right? We've got some. I like hitting those all 32 team shows. I think people seem to like that. We cover every team, but what are some ideas that you guys have? It's experiment time in the off season.
Just anything you'd like to see us do for a show that we haven't done before. Like there's stuff we haven't done. There's stuff we haven't done because it's a bad idea, right? And there's stuff we haven't done because we haven't thought of it yet. So if there's things you would like us to do as a show and we haven't done it, email us in an idea. Check the mic at the33rdteam.com for just any feedback. We're doing this for you guys. So what you would like to see is what we want to do.
Saw an Oil Can Boyd mention in there. He shows up on our show every now and then.
Oil Can Boyd.
Oil Can made a comeback in 05. I think he was 46, and in like a real professional league. Forget just showing up in a men's league. He showed up in our league in 06 and 05. I think he was 46 years old.
Some of these guys,
he was probably throwing low 80s with all his junk and everything.
Mao Nanu is still playing professional rugby. He's 44 years old.
Jeez.
Professional rugby.
Jaromir Jagr, is he still playing hockey? He was playing until he was like 60.
I mean, Ovechkin's really old, right?
No, not like that.
Jagr
was a legend in the early 90s.
No, I know, but
there's some Jagr stat where like one of his teammates has won the Stanley Cup for the last 25 years or something.
Right. Yeah, there's one of those in the Premier League soccer as well. Like James Milner just retired at 40 something, and there was I think this is the first. This upcoming year will be the first year that somebody in the Premier League had not been coached by Bobby Robson, right? Whose prime was in the 90s and who died like 15 years ago or something, right?
Jeez.
Like James Milner had basically been keeping that stat alive individually for like the last 10 years or whatever.
Interesting. I feel like I feel like a lot of players play into their 40s in hockey more than other sports.
Yeah. Rugby's nuts. Like to be out there at 44 years old playing professional rugby, not just in the top 14 in France, which is like basically the best league in the world. That's ridiculous.
He's our age. 82?
He's
82, baby?
Right. 6 foot. I mean, he's listed. Who knows what he's actually playing at these days? Listed at 6 foot 240, 238, right? At 44 years of age. Just constructed of granite.
Jeez.
absolutely crazy.
By the way, I'll tell you what was good about throwing in the 90-degree humidity last night. I think I'm down 3 to 5 pounds here.
Oh, that's the thing I would hate the most.
Every outing.
Playing at that temperature.
Oh, it's hot.
I don't even want to be outside, let alone playing sport.
It's hot. Fully drenched.
Hate that.
Fully drenched.
Hate it.
I had a teammate. Let's just ramble about stupid stories. I may have told this one before, but I had a teammate. We would do these like, so I had a teammate who had to change his uniform halfway between every game because there was so much sweat playing in Southern Maryland. He would go in the fourth inning. He could take his jersey, wring it out, and he would change his number. Like he'd have a different uniform for the second half of the game. That's how wet. And then you'd have like once a month you'd have like a camo day or like a Mother's Day jersey. You'd have these jerseys that you just wore for one day, and then you'd auction them off for charity, and you give them away at the end of the game. He would give his jersey away. Someone would buy his jersey, and he would have to hand over this dripping baseball jersey to the winner. It was hilarious. I've never seen anybody sweat so much in my life. It's unbelievable.
I don't like.
Shout out Benjamin Harrison.
I hate sweating. I hate being that hot that I'm just drenched with sweat.
Ben Harrison, baby. Go Gators.
Like the sweat in the eyes. I had to be like LeBron James headbanding it to try and keep the sweat out of my eyes. That was one of the big challenges, is trying to figure out what to wear under the helmet that stopped the sweat pouring into your eyes and blinding you during the game.
That's like the only – I never used rosin on my hand. They have the rosin bag behind the mount. I only used it on my wrist to avoid sweat getting in my hand. I hated anything sticky or – I know people use that to like get more spin. I don't even know how to do that properly. Again, another reason why I probably never made it. I didn't cheat properly. I didn't put enough sunscreen and rosin on the ball to get it to move and tighten up my spin rate. But I only used rosin to like avoid the sweat.
Mentally fragile, not willing to cheat. It's just a whole
How did I make it
things.
How did I make it to
You're
one call
6'10".
away? How was I a closer in AAA for a minute on the cusp of big league stardom?
Right. It's like you that thing of, the guy was born on third base or whatever. Like you're at 6'10", you were huge. You're born on third base, ready. Like it's difficult to not be a professional athlete at your size and with the tools you're bringing to the table. Only you found the three things in terms of undermining all of that to take it away.
My last story, just because I called my famous high school baseball coach today to tell him I made my return. Just check in with him. Massachusetts legend high school baseball coach. But I was telling him this story one time. I was coming out of high school. I was like 6'7", just throwing low 80s, right? And I went to an all-star game, and there was a kid there who was like one of the best pitchers in the state, was going to UNC, but he's only 6 feet tall. And my coach, who just didn't care, said whatever he wanted, looked at him and was like, hey, the scouts are going to like this guy more than you because he's bigger and more projectable and this and that. And I just thought it was funny that he, like, first off, said that out loud and then said it in front of this kid who I was like, well, this guy's definitely getting drafted, throws low 90s in high school. He's going to UNC. And then eventually, our careers did cross paths later, and the prediction was correct. Like, I had surpassed him like 6 or 7, 8 years later, which I thought was funny. But he was basically like, this guy throwing 6'7", skinny, throwing 80 miles an hour is going to be better than you, Mr. 90 to 92, going to UNC. And like half a decade later, he was right. It's just funny.
Mohawk wants to know what are things you can't do anymore now that you're old.
Pitch. Pitch is run to first base quickly. Not much else. Not that old.
Yeah, pretty old.
I mean, just play sports without breaking stuff.
I used to, so you know that Randy Moss was famous for never warming up, right? Never stretched.
Yeah.
Just when I jogged a lap,
The cheetah doesn't
good to go.
stretch.
Right. And his thing was he just didn't. Deion Sanders as well didn't stretch. He didn't do any of that crap. Just laid out his
Stretching
uniform.
before you play is overrated, actually. But go ahead.
Well, warming up was
Warming
generally-
up's important. I
Warming
think,
up was something I never bothered doing. It was
Warming
like
up's important.
All I need to do is to, again, like the Randy Moss thing. I just need to jog a little bit, get the muscles warm, and I'm good to go. Right now, if I tried to do anything significant without an extensive warm up of some kind, I would be in danger of ripping it to pieces. Anything.
So I went the other way. I used to warm up extensively, and I know you saw me.
Yeah.
Presumably
Really
warm up for a while.
extensively.
I've cut down on my warm up stuff because it's like
There was some fat to be trimmed.
it's like there's reps in there that you just don't want to waste in my old age.
Yeah.
So I do less warming up instead
I think
of
of
more.
this every now and again where you're like, if like somebody, if somebody tried to rob you in the street, right? And they like grabbed your phone and took off running, right? Like back in the day, I would be reasonably confident of being able to run down basically anybody that had taken my phone if that had happened, right? Now, number one, I'm not sure I'd catch them depending on how fast they were because I'm not as fast as I used to be. And number two, if I tried without a warm up, I'd probably blow out a hamstring. I'm like, that's something that's new, right? I wouldn't have to worry about that before. I'd just take off, I'd catch you, give me my damn phone, and I wouldn't worry that the hamstring had gone in between. Now it's like if I had to run after somebody unprompted.
Or the Achilles. I'm really worried about the Achilles.
I hate that is now something in my head.
I just ran into someone else. Achilles. He's not even an athlete, just Achilles.
I really hate it. The fact that that's now something in my brain that like because I used to kind of start running this way as well. I used to do that, like bounce into a sprint thing,
Yeah.
Now I'm like, if I do that, what if the Achilles just says no?
Yeah. I am afraid of sudden movements. Sudden movements. Plus, never know when my back's going to go like it did a couple months ago.
Those videos are everywhere of people popping their Achilles, right? At the sort of trampoline park, those indoor things, they had one of the ninja wall things, right?
Yeah.
I saw a guy try and run up one of those, and his Achilles just went as soon as he hit the incline. And the same thing, like he thought someone had like booted him in the calf or whatever. He's like, what the hell? You're like, no, your Achilles just blew out. Don't like that. Don't like it at all.
Yeah. So sudden movements. Can't do that.
That's, I think, the genuine worst thing about aging is it's the realization that at some point in your life, two things. Number one, things that you never thought about before as actually potential weak points could fail on you, right? And then number two, the frequency and likelihood with which they will fail increases, right? So like it had genuinely never occurred to me during playing time that if I just ran like a hard cut to the left, my right ACL might just go, nope, and right?
Yeah. Never
even occurred to me that could happen. And then you see it happen to somebody, and you're like, oh, like your body can just say no mas and not that was an interesting realization at some point in your life. But that comes in your 20s or whatever, right? You see it happen to somebody for the first time, you're like, wow, that can happen. Your body can legitimately just decide it's not going to deal with that and go. And then the second realization is as you age, you're like, that's way more likely to happen the older you get. Like the more fragile and brittle your body gets, the way more extensive chance that it might just go, forget it, I'm not doing that today. And stuff that you could do, just it doesn't happen anymore. I don't like either of those two things. I preferred the invulnerability of youth, where it never occurred to you that your body might tap out one day, and it probably wouldn't.
And we're not even that old.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, good times. Good times.
And that's not even counting the stuff that's just like generally annoyingly a chronic problem now. Like I think I've got tennis elbow or something in this arm. It's just a constant irritating
you just never know
problem.
What's going to pop up.
Well, it's that's fallen under the category of things I've just decided to ignore, right? It's like it's sore, but it's not stopping me lifting things, so who cares, right? I'm just going to ignore it. Probably not wise, but that's different to like, oh, I've just really hurt myself.
I'll say this, for pitching a couple games, 2 games in the last week, I feel pretty good. Knee hasn't fallen apart, back's feeling pretty good, arm's not as bad as I thought it would. Feeling pretty good. Feeling good. I'm going to skew this positive here. All right, that's it for us today. We got to get out of here. Appreciate everything. So we've got we pre-recorded Monday. That's already out there.
Yeah.
What did we talk about? Most essential non-QB is coming up Monday morning. Most essential non-quarterback on every team.
That's because Will's away, right? That's why we did that.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember. Laura was like, "Why did you record Monday's show?" And I'm like, "I don't remember."
It's because Will.
We can't even.
Will's going to the.
There was a reason, but I just said okay.
Will
and showed up.
Will's becoming a World Cup groupie. He's just following the World Cup around. Producer Will.
Right.
And congrats to Will's getting bumped up. He's going to be like running.
Will's getting a promotion.
He's running the 33rd team now.
And then we have
CEO.
We have news at some point. We're going to have an in-person producer.
We have a reunion.
In-studio producer.
We'll have an in-person producer. Do we throw the camera on him over there and everything? We do.
Good. I mean, we don't have an extra. We need an extra camera.
That's equipment. We're not paying for that.
We get a webcam.
We'll get something.
Do it on the cheap.
We're going to have a little bit of a reunion. Former former colleague, maybe joining us in person. Will's getting bumped up.
Yeah.
Just, running more stuff around the 33rd team here. So congrats to Will. Will's not our boss.
It's a complicated org structure.
It is. Complicated org structure. We have creative control over our show. Now, Will's done a great job as our producer, as will our new guy coming in here.
Yeah.
But, Will's taking a week off to catch some World Cup games, go to Hawaii.
Travel around,
Just travel.
Hell of a schedule.
All right, that's it for us today. We'll Monday, Thursday, 9 a.m. every single week. We'll see you guys on Monday, 9 a.m. More. Check the mic.